The stage lights dim, and a ripple of silence sweeps across the crowd. For a single moment, time seems to hold its breath. Then boom. The bass drops, and a slim figure glides across the floor like liquid lightning. Every move is sharp, every motion deliberate. His body hits the rhythm with surgical precision, and yet there's something tender in the way he moves, something that makes you stop and stare. That's Wang Yibo. To most, he's the face of effortless cool, the untouchable star who commands every stage he steps on. But behind that calm stare and the signature snap of his movements lies something deeper, a pulse that beats to more than just the music. It beats to connection, friendship, and an unspoken rhythm that found its perfect counterpoint in someone unexpected, Xiao Zhan. When the world first saw them together on screen, something extraordinary happened. Sparks didn't just fly. They burned through the walls of fiction, melting the boundary between art and emotion. But before that iconic partnership, before the endless fan chants and flashing lights, there was Yibo, the dancer, the rebel, the boy who couldn't stand still. Born for motion, Yibo learned early that words were often too clumsy to express the storms inside him.
So he danced.
Hip-hop became his language, his weapon, his shield. It was rhythm without rules, a freedom he could mold with sweat and sound. The first time he hit the floor of a studio, sneakers squeaking against the beat, he felt it. The raw connection between body and soul. Every spin, every pop, every freeze told a story his mouth never could. That's the Yibo the world doesn't always see. The boy who found salvation in rhythm. The one who stayed after class when the others went home, replaying tracks until dawn, chasing perfection with quiet obsession. And then came Xiao Zhan. The first meeting was nothing special, or at least, that's what they'd both claim. It was a set filled with noise, movement, scripts, and spotlights. Yibo stood with his usual calm indifference, one hand in his pocket, the other adjusting his cap. Xiao Zhan walked in, graceful, polite, carrying an aura that could light up the dullest of rooms. Where Yibo was ice, Xiao Zhan was warmth. Where Yibo spoke through beats, Xiao Zhan spoke through words and smiles. They were opposites, two stars with different gravity, but as fate would have it, opposites have a way of colliding. On the set of the Untamed, the chemistry was undeniable. Every glance held tension, every pause felt electric. Off camera, Yibo would practice his dance routines between scenes, earphones in, lost in his own world. Xiao Zhan, curious as ever, would watch from the corner, amused, impressed, and maybe a little enchanted. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the crew packed up, Xiao Zhan asked, "Teach me that move." Yibo smirked. "You'll fall." "Then I'll fall with style," Xiao Zhan replied. And that's how it began. There, under the soft hum of stage lights and the faint buzz of night insects, Wang Yibo, the meticulous, untouchable dancer, found himself teaching his co-star how to ride the rhythm. Xiao Zhan wasn't perfect. He missed beats, stumbled, laughed at his own mistakes. But there was a spark in him, a willingness to move, to learn, to feel. And Yibo, who rarely smiled, found himself grinning. From that night on, something changed. The rehearsals became longer, the silences more comfortable. Yibo, once a fortress of self-discipline, began to let his guard down. Xiao Zhan's warmth seeped through the cracks, filling the spaces that rhythm alone could never reach. Fans would later say that you could see it. The way Yibo's eyes softened when Xiao Zhan laughed, the way his steps seemed to hit harder, sharper, whenever Xiao Zhan was near. Whether it was friendship or something deeper didn't matter. What mattered was the harmony, the way they moved through life like two parts of the same melody. Yibo's love for dance was legendary, but what few realized was how much it mirrored his connections with people. Dance, for him, wasn't about domination.
It was about dialogue.
When he moved, he wasn't performing. He was conversing, opening a line of emotion between himself and the world. And with Xiao Zhan, that dialogue became poetry. There were moments when words failed them. Fame has a way of wrapping everything in static, rumors, whispers, endless eyes watching every breath. But even then, Yibo had his language. He would step onto the stage, music pounding in his veins, and dance like he was telling the world everything he couldn't say out loud. Sometimes, Xiao Zhan would be in the audience, hidden, quiet, watching. And every spin, every pop, every final freeze seemed to land just for him. It wasn't romantic in the conventional sense, it was something rarer. It was the kind of connection that doesn't need confession because it's already understood. The kind of love that lives in motion, not in words. When Yibo performed his now famous solo on Street Dance of China, fans saw only the skill, the ferocity, the precision, the way his body seemed to defy gravity. But if you looked closer, there was something else in his rhythm. Echoes of laughter, of late-night rehearsals, of shared silence. Every beat was a memory, and every memory had a name. Hip-hop isn't about control, Yibo once said in an interview. It's about letting go. Maybe that's what Xiao Zhan taught him, to let go. To dance not just for perfection, but for connection. To understand that sometimes art isn't about mastery, it's about emotion, about being seen. There was one particular night that fans still talk about, when Yibo's crew performed under the rain. The floor was slick, the air electric. Every drop that hit his face shimmered under the spotlight, turning the scene into something almost cinematic. As the crowd roared, he closed his eyes and let the music consume him. And somewhere in the chaos, someone in the wings clapped softly, just one pair of hands. Yibo looked up, met Xiao Zhan's gaze across the blur of people and light, and smiled. For a second, the world stopped. Moments like that don't make headlines. They live in the space between breaths, between beats, between looks that say everything without a single word. For Wang Yibo, dance was never just movement, it was a heartbeat. And for Xiao Zhan, it was a mirror reflecting the same fire back at him. As the years passed, their paths took them in different directions, new projects, new dreams, new stages. But that rhythm, that understanding, remained. Whenever fans saw them cross paths again, even briefly, the energy was still there, alive, pulsing, timeless. Wang Yibo continues to evolve, a dancer who never stops searching for truth in motion. Whether he's choreographing new routines or exploring acting, that same intensity follows him. The passion that once burned in quiet studios now blazes across international stages. But if you ask him what drives him, he'll still shrug and say, the rhythm. Always the rhythm. And maybe, deep down, he knows that part of that rhythm is tied to a memory, to the laughter of someone who once stumbled through a dance beside him, unafraid to fall. There's a beauty in that kind of connection, the kind that doesn't fade, that doesn't demand labels or explanations. Just a shared heartbeat between two artists who met at the intersection of art, passion, and fate. The sound of a single beat slices through the air. Thump, thump, thump. The studio lights flicker like a heartbeat. A figure stands in the center, calm, focused, electric. His sneakers tap once, then twice, syncing perfectly with a rhythm that's already running through his veins. It's Wang Yibo, lost again in the language only he truly speaks, dance. There's something magnetic about the way he begins. He doesn't just move, he transforms the air around him. The first motion is subtle, a shoulder roll, a tilt of the head, but it grows, blooming into a storm of rhythm. The mirrors catch flashes of muscle, sweat, and control so precise it looks unreal. Every step has a heartbeat, every spin a story. He isn't dancing to impress. He's dancing to release. People call Yibo the silent flame, and in these moments, you understand why. There's no chatter, no instruction, only the music and a man who's become one with it. His movements are both battle and prayer. He fights the rhythm and worships it in the same breath. What's wild is that Yibo doesn't just perform choreography, he rewrites it as he moves. The beat drops, and suddenly his footwork turns liquid, sliding across the floor in sync with impossible timing. His body bends backward into a freeze that defies balance, then explodes forward in a wave that looks like slow lightning. The crowd, if there is one, holds its breath. Even in practice, even when no one's watching, Yibo gives everything. Because for him, every dance is a confession. There was a night, one the fans never saw, when he stayed behind after a full day of shooting. The set was empty, the lights half dead, the sound of rain outside echoing like a soft drum. He plugged in his headphones, pulled his cap low, and hit play. It was an old track, one he'd danced to as a trainee. Raw, heavy, full of life. The kind of song that makes your chest ache. And as it began, he let go. The rain kept time as he moved, droplets hitting the windows in rhythm with his sneakers slapping the floor. He spun, dropped, slid, froze, and in that lonely, rain-lit studio, you could almost see the fire pouring out of him. No cameras. No audience. Just Wang Yibo versus the music, and that's always been the truest version of him. Dance for Yibo is not a performance. It's survival. It's how he breathes when words aren't enough. It's how he answers every question he never speaks aloud. When life gets loud, he doesn't argue, he moves. When the world gets heavy, he dances it lighter. That's why every motion carries emotion. His body remembers everything, the struggles, the sleepless nights, the applause, the silence. And when he steps on stage, all of that erupts in rhythm. One of his closest crew members once said, "Yibo doesn't dance to the beat. He becomes the beat." You see it in his eyes, focused, burning, almost hypnotic. When he locks into a rhythm, it's like he's somewhere else entirely, pulled into another dimension where only sound and soul exist. His fingertips cut through the air like blades, his sneakers mark time like a drummer's sticks. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stops. The music fades. The silence hits harder than the beat ever did. And Yibo stands there, breathing hard, face still, heart still echoing the rhythm that's now gone. That's the moment the magic lingers, the afterglow of movement, the ghost of energy. He wipes his face, looks up at the mirror, and just smiles, that rare, quiet smile that says, "Yeah, that's it. That's dance." But what makes him special isn't just the technique. It's the truth behind it. In every style, hip-hop, popping, locking, crump, Yibo finds emotion. His body doesn't just follow steps, it translates feelings. When he hits a beat, it's anger. When he slides, it's calm. When he freezes midair, suspended in motion, it's a moment of clarity that words could never express. And the crowd feels it. That's the secret, the invisible thread between Yibo and everyone watching. He doesn't need to speak. The rhythm speaks for him. There's another scene fans will never forget, the one from Street Dance of China, when Yibo took the stage in black, under a single spotlight. The bass line hit, slow, heavy pulsing. He didn't rush into movement. He listened. For 10 long seconds, he just stood there, head tilted, absorbing every drop of sound. Then, without warning, his body erupted. His hands carved the air, his legs snapped into motion. The crowd screamed, but Yibo was gone, lost to the music. The dance built to a crescendo, every hit sharper than the last, every pause perfectly timed. And then came the final freeze, a statue carved out of energy and silence. The music stopped. The world stopped. And when he opened his eyes, you could see it. The story he'd just told without a single word. That's Wang Yibo, the boy who dances like his life depends on it because in some ways it always has.
He's not chasing fame.
He's chasing truth, the kind you find only in motion. The kind that can't be faked, can't be staged. Every time he hits the floor, it's a reminder. Dance is freedom. Dance is rebellion. Dance is love in its purest form, unspoken, unstoppable, unforgettable. And maybe that's why people all over the world connect to him so deeply. Because when you watch Yibo dance, you're not just seeing steps, you're seeing honesty. You're seeing a soul in rhythm with itself. Underneath the strobe lights and applause, he's still that kid who fell in love with the beat. The one who stayed up late practicing, who stumbled, who got back up. The one who found in dance what most people spend a lifetime searching for, a reason to keep moving. He dances because he must. Because it's how he tells his story. Because somewhere, in every beat, there's a whisper. This is who I am. And that's what makes him unforgettable. So the next time the lights dim, the music swells, and you see Wang Yibo step forward, Watch closely. You're not just seeing a dancer. You're witnessing a heartbeat in motion, a dream spun from rhythm, a man who speaks fluently in movement. Because for Wang Yibo, dance isn't something he does. It's something he is. Clapperboard if you love this story and want to feel more of Wang Yibo's rhythm. Make sure you hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel for more breathtaking stories, scenes, and spotlights on the legends who move the world through their art.